Greetings and welcome. My name is Aaron Craig with Let'sLearnThisTogether.com. And what I want to talk about in this video is the practice of safe or protective coding and discuss how much energy you should put into that. So safe coding is the idea of writing all of your code to have as little and few errors as possible. And although that's always a great idea, sometimes it takes way more energy to ensure that everything that can ever be passed into every single one of your scripts doesn't stop and blow up your project or game. Sometimes you just write it and it just needs to work, and so you go on your merry way after you get it working. So I want to discuss a good way of doing some safe coding, not putting too much energy into it, but it'll also make you a better programmer once you start thinking about all of the use cases on all of the scripts and functions that you might write in there. Before we jump into that, I just want to let you know that if you leave a comment and a like on this video, you will be entered to win the giveaway for my beginner course. I'm going to be doing a giveaway on every Monday and Friday video. So just leave a comment, like the video, and in a week I will let you know if you won. But with that, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. So what I've got here is the project I'm working on for my upcoming series on building a better inventory, something that has a little flash and is really generic and useful for every kind of game you might build. And as I was doing this, I realized that I want to make sure that my scripts and my functions don't fail. So let's go into the add item script and let's take a look at this. So this script that I've got right here takes a DS grid as an argument, and it takes an array of attributes. Now, when I'm passing this in, I wanted to make sure that all of the things that could go wrong, I checked for. And I think this is a great example of safe coding, but not going overboard and trying to prevent people from ever even calling this wrong or making sure that you can never have an error in your game, because I think that's impossible. So let's take a look at what I did and some concepts that you can apply to your code as well. So I thought about all of the different ways that this script is going to be called. Adding an item. So we're going to pass in a grid and some attributes. So that means that the first thing, I need to make sure that the arguments that they pass in are right. Once I call, or whoever calls this function, once they get to here, I don't want this code to be able to fail. It may not work, but it's not going to crash the game. And this is how I did that. So I'm passing in a grid. So I use the function dsExists, checking for the DS type grid. And if it's not a grid, then I show a message that I was not able to find it, and we return, and that's it. We don't go any farther. And that's because this is the first thing you can check. Although you could also check this one here, but they're both kind of the first check. I'm making sure that what is passed in is appropriate. And this is a great thing to do on pretty much all of your functions or scripts. If someone can pass in data, then chances are you or whoever you're working with is going to pass in data incorrectly. Maybe it's by a typo, maybe it's by a misunderstanding of what this script is supposed to do. Whatever the case is, I want to make sure that whatever's passed in is acceptable. So we check the grid first. There's functions for checking everything. So dsExists for every kind of data structure. Then we check is array on the attributes. So this tells me if it's an array or not. Then I want to check the length. So if either of those are not appropriate, so I know how many there's supposed to be with item.height, and if there's not that many or it's not an array, then we give them this message and we break out. Anytime you pass in data and you kind of know what to expect, there's a function, either is that data type or does that data structure exist. Those are very useful and great for safe programming. Second thing I check in, I have a master list I'm comparing against. And if they want to add an item to another inventory, say like a shopkeeper or the players, I'm going to pull it from the master list first. And if it's not in there, then they made a typo somewhere. And that's very possible to do because at least right now, I'm actually typing in the name of this object. So if I wanted to make macros for every object name, that would eliminate this. But until I do that, if I type in anything wrong here in my add item script, it will pop up and say, hey, I was unable to find the name of that item. Get out of here. and no error, the game isn't going to crash. It's going to let you know it can't find it, and then as you're playtesting it, this message will come up and you'll immediately be able to find where that problem is. So safe coding is nice because it doesn't crash your game, but you can also do it in a way that tells you exactly what went wrong so you can find that later. Third thing we check is this in the grid? So these two here aren't exactly safe coding because this is actually just adding an item to the inventory, but it is important to think about all of the use cases on every script and every function you create. Here, if I only added it to increase the item count in the grid, then we'd have an error if it was a new item. Same thing if I only tried to add new items, then I would have lots of duplicates inside my inventory, and that wouldn't be great either. So a good rule of thumb is to think about the script you're writing, check the arguments, and think of all of the different things that can happen inside of that script. If you can eliminate any errors once they're actually inside of your code here, your game will run smoother and you'll be able to find those problems significantly easier. And so I highly encourage you to practice this kind of safe coding. And that's what I've got for you. That's safe coding in a nutshell with a really good practical example, at least in my opinion. If you enjoyed that, please do leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you want to see more content from me. If you want to check out my courses, check out my website at letslearnthistogether.com. And if you want to be entered into the contest to win a free beginner course from me, just leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below. What I want to hear from you is, what do you enjoy or what's your biggest frustration when it comes to game development? Leave a comment, let me know, and in a week I will draw a winner. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can check that out as well. I would super appreciate it, and that helps me continue to do this. But that's what I've got for you today. So thank you so much, and as always, keep making, keep learning, and I'll talk to you later. A huge thank you to all of the awesome people who support me over on Patreon. Their names are on the screen now, and every dollar pledged helps me create more awesome content. You can support me for as little as $1 a month and get access to exclusive perks like my Discord server, your name in the credits, early access to my YouTube videos and courses, and more. Check it out at patreon.com/letslearnthistogether.com or find the link in the description below and become a patron today.